I'm not sure there's ever been a time where yoga has felt more purposeful. And I don't think there's ever been a time where yoga is a better antidote to fear. When you are moving with such vigor and rigor that you actually have to focus on breathing, at the end of that practice, your mind is kind of refreshed. It's been an exhale to then begin to tackle real obstacles versus the contagion of fear. When you're lying your body over a bolster, creating a cocoon of like safety, or asking, what is my relationship to softness at a time when every muscle in your body wants to mobilize into fight or flight, then you understand that listening is the whole gig in yoga. Like, what we're actually practicing is the art of feeling everything. And in the context of fear, yoga is the most powerful medicine. You know, the definition of contagious is something that spreads from person to person quickly. While there is a very serious medical contagion that we are not downplaying in any way, there is also the sort of psychological contagion of fear. And I think what Down Under is trying to do is counter that with a contagious energy of courage, a contagious energy of grace, of solidarity, of lifting each other up, of optimism. Fear either brings out our worst, or it actually shows us not just what we're made of, but like reveals our character. You know, we're most resourceful when we're challenged. And the question becomes, could we be transformed as individual people, but maybe even as a human race, by these circumstances of universal adversity? And it's interesting because when this first happened, I was like, I guess we just close our doors for a while. And Michael Ponte, our managing director, who we now call Winston Churchill, was no, quite the opposite. We go global. Then I started reading this article in The Guardian, which said, we'll survive the pandemic, but the question is actually, we'll be judged by how we survived it. He says, we are in one of those moments in history where we're given an unprecedented crisis in order that we may gift ourselves an extraordinary response that can change our destiny as a species. We're at a fulcrum. Given the way we've managed life on this planet for the last 150 years, some sort of disaster was inevitable. We've overdrawn on the bank of our futures, exhausted the planet's goodwill. You might see nature speaking back at humanity for our arrogance. Our judgments have been skewed by measures of money rather than measures of the heart. And voices that speak for nature, the poor, for justice are easily ridiculed. We could begin now to create the best chapter in the human story. It could be said of us in the future that faced with a viral catastrophe, we did something amazing. Imagine if the leaders of the world chose at this moment to put in place policies that could reverse climate change, bring health and education to people, kill off the virus of poverty that has spread untold misery. Sound fanciful? And yet our history has always been made by those who guided us with vision at moments of great crisis. All our myths point in two directions. We either go upwards towards the true meaning of civilization, or we head for apocalypse. Tragic times call for extraordinary qualities. We are made for heroic realities. Our ancestors coded our choices for us in fables and legends, but we got deaf to what we needed to hear most. Perhaps we will begin to listen. Our mission at Down Under actually is to give comfort, to inspire reflection, and to ignite movement. And that idea is so many years old now, I feel like it's never been more relevant. We will stay optimistic. We will use a contagious energy of courage and grace and faith. We will continue that so that every person we are able to reach has a moment in their day where confinement can be used for transformation, for reflection, for igniting a movement that might use tragedy to be the beginning of a different way of thinking. Be safe, be well. Sending you lots of love.